Hi, second graders. I know you're used to having a writing assignment with me on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and then science on Thursdays. But for the rest of the school year, I'm going to be combining science and writing on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So some days might seem more like science, some days might seem more like writing. Before I go any further about that, I want to show you this picture of the crabapple tree that was on my parents' farm. I think I mentioned it to you last week when we were talking about seeds, and they showed a picture on the page of a crabapple tree. Let me see if I can find it. Yep, it's right here. Do you see it right there? That's the close-up of the pink flowers on the crabapple tree. And I mentioned the one that my parents had on the farm, and I found the picture. So there it is, so beautiful and big. Can you see how much shade it's providing on the ground? It's spread out so far. Can you see the dogs laying under there? I can just barely see them. So they were getting some shade under that beautiful crabapple tree. So this picture was taken a long time ago, 1988 actually, and it would have been this time of year because this is when the crabapples are blooming. But then what do those flowers become later? I hope you said fruit, because the little crabapples would grow there where the flower was, and they were just tiny, like the size of a big blueberry or a cherry, and we didn't eat them. They weren't really that great to eat, but they were really good to eat if you were a bird. So the birds loved that tree. Sometimes the little crabapples would be down on the ground and the birds would eat them right off the ground, or they'd fly into the tree and get a crabapple snack. So I wanted to show you that picture. And now we're back to writing and science. The reason that I'm going to be combining writing with science is because, second graders, we are going to start our bug report. I'm very excited about this. This is a big second grade project, and we teachers wondered if we could do this in distance learning, but we know that you can do it. We are going to work really hard to help you do your bug report. So everyone is going to get to choose an insect next week. You don't need to worry about it right now, but you can be thinking about it. And you will do a report about that insect. Now, I want you to know this right now so that you can be getting prepared this week and be ready to start next week. You are going to need paper, and it would be best if it was notebook paper like this, some kind of writing paper, okay? Plain paper with no lines would make it a little harder to do. You're going to need a pencil, of course. You're going to need some markers, crayons, or colored pencils for some text features that you're going to do. We'll teach you how to do it. You're going to need a folder or a notebook to keep your work safe in, because you don't want to lose it and have to start over, right? Or you don't want to leave it on the counter and maybe your mom or dad's coffee would get spilled on it or something. So you need to have something to put it in. Now, I didn't have a folder or a notebook, so I am using this big envelope that I found downstairs in the basement, and I don't need it for anything else, so I'm using it. And I'll give you a little sneak preview. There's my notes that I started on my insect I'm doing, and I even got my first paragraph done. Exciting, right? I will show all of that to you later. So that's the second thing you need. And then the last thing you're going to need are sources. What does the word source mean? Does anybody know? The source of something is where it comes from. So in this case, you could talk about the source of your food. Where did your food come from? The source of your water. Where did your water come from? But in this case, we're talking about where is your information going to come from. We would like you to have two sources. If you have some books at home, that would really help. But Mrs. B and I will help you with sources. She's going to show you a really good source online next week where you'll be able to choose your insect and find information about it. I have these fabulous insect flashcards. Ooh, that's kind of a gross one. It's a flea. There are 36 different insects on these cards. Can you even see one there? It's a moth. It really camouflages well, doesn't it? Huh. Let me bring it closer. Ooh, do you see it now? Not cool. Well, the really great thing about this is they're not just great pictures of the insects, they also have the information that you're going to need, because we are going to research about our insects, a description of them, their habitat, and their diet. All right, today we are going to talk about habitat only. So I've started my little poster. We will research habitat, and then tomorrow we'll put another one, and on Wednesday we'll put the third one that we're going to research. Today, let's just talk about habitat. So read the definition with me. Habitat, natural home of an animal or insect. Since we're studying insects specifically, I added insect there. Is the zoo a natural home of an animal or insect? No. I hope you said no. Animals don't just flock to the zoo and say, hey, can I be in your zoo? That's not where they would naturally live. The zoos capture them. That sounds kind of scary. But they have animals there for us to look at. And most zoos now do a really good job of making it feel as natural as they can for the animals, which is great. But that is not where that animal would live if they were left alone to find their own place to live, right? So we are going to research the natural home of your insect. I have our book that we've been using, Insects and Plants, and it's kind of funny that it's called Insects and Plants because it starts with plants. But, I wanted to show you something really important. There's a nice title page that you will do in your report also. And you know this text feature from Mrs. B, right? The table of contents. So, I wanted to find out about insects. And I know that this page, can you see it? Insect shapes and colors, page what? 41. I knew that would be about insects. So I went to that page, page 41. And then I realized, hey, there's something about insects before this page too. So back in the table of contents where it said so many kinds, so many places, it didn't really indicate for sure that that was about insects, but sure enough, it was. So we're going to go to that. Look at this guy. He looks like he's really looking at you and smiling, doesn't he? I'm not even sure what critter that is, but it is an insect. We're going to read a few pages that have to do with habitat, okay? This amazing animal is an insect. Flies, ants, and crickets are all insects too. There are so many kinds of insects. Insects are everywhere. Can you name some others? I'll give you a little time to think about that. I bet you can. Well, let's see what they show us here. No matter where you are, an insect is probably near you. Some of you are creeped out by that, probably. Insects are in the air and in the water. Some creep in the Arctic snow. Can you believe it? Others scamper around in the desert. There we see some insects. Those are on the water. Is it hard to tell in that picture? Yeah. These ladybugs have gathered on a tree trunk. Some insects live on the tops of mountains. Other insects live in the rainforests. Insects are everywhere. So those pages show us something about the habitats of insects. It said they live in the air, they live in water, some creep in the Arctic snow. Maybe you will choose an insect that creeps in the Arctic snow. I would love to read about it. Others are in the desert. The ladybugs love to live on tree trunks. Some insects are on the tops of mountains. Insects live in the rainforest. Those ones would be very interesting to study, I think. So that is a little bit about habitat. You're going to be more specific when you write about the habitat of your insect. But today, that's what we're talking about, is habitat, where an animal or insect lives. Now, for your assignment today, all I want you to do is to copy this definition. You can copy it on a piece of paper and send me a picture. You could write it on a whiteboard and send me a picture. You could even write it in the comments under this video. So however you want to show us that you know the definition of habitat, that will be great. The natural home of an animal or insect. Tomorrow we'll talk about diet and how we research the diet of our insect. Okay? All right, have a great day, second graders.